Today's episode sits at the intersection of two things I care deeply about: financial intelligence and the quality of your decision making. Welcome to Thinking to Think. I'm Michael A. Aponte, also known as M.A. Aponte. In April last month was National Financial Literacy Month, and the numbers that came out are striking. Nearly a third of Americans don't track what they spend. 3 in 4 feel optimistic about improving their finances, but that optimism is happening inside a backdrop of real, ongoing financial stress. And that gap between intention and execution, between optimism and outcome, is exactly the kind of gap that threatens and interests me. Because here's what I've observed, both personally and professionally: financial behavior is not primarily a math problem, it's a thinking problem. How you handle money is near perfect mirror of how you make decisions under pressure, under uncertainty, with competing priorities and emotional variables in play. Build financial literacy, and you don't just get better at money, you get better at thinking. And better thinking compounds across every domain of your life. That's the Thinking to Think angle today, and let's get into it. Before I get into it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That really helps out the podcast. Now, let's start with the data. Every April, the financial service industry, nonprofit organizations, and policy groups take stock of where Americans stand financially. And the 2026 findings are a study in contradictions. On one hand, 76, I say again, 76% of Americans say they're optimistic about improving their financial situation this year. That's genuine. There's motivation there. On the other hand, 29% don't track their spending at all, meaning nearly 1 in 3 people are navigating their financial lives without a map. And that's not a failure of willpower, that's a failure of systems and frameworks. And this border, broader context: persistent inflation has eroded purchasing power. Interest rates on consumer debt remain elevated, and the psychological weight of financial stress, which research consistently shows degrades cognitive performance, is a daily reality for tens of millions of households. What's missing in most of the conversations about financial literacy is this: we treat it as a collection of facts to learn rather than a skill set to develop. We teach people about compound interest and debt to income ratios. And those things matter, but we skip the foundational question: how do you make better financial decisions? Not just what to decide, but how to think about deciding. Most financial education teaches you what to do. Here at Thinking to Think is about learning how to think, which is the prerequisite to doing anything well. Here's the core insight I want you to carry out of this episode. Every financial decision you make is a window into your decision making architecture. It reveals how you handle uncertainty, how you weigh present versus future reward, how you respond to social pressure, and how clearly you understand your own values and priorities. And let me walk you through 4 specific thinking patterns that show up in financial behavior and explain how improving each one transforms your financial outcomes and your general decision making capacity. Pattern 1: present bias. Present bias is the cognitive tendency to overweight immediate rewards relative to future outcomes. In financial terms, it's why you know you should invest, but the impulse purchase feels more compelling. It's why the vacation gets booked before the emergency fund gets funded. The thinking countermove: pre commitment. Automation, structural decisions that remove the in the moment choice. When you set up automatic transfers to savings before your paycheck hits your checking account, you're using a thinking framework, not just a financial strategy. And that same framework make the hard decisions in advance when emotions are low applies to nutrition, productivity, relationships, and organizational planning. Pattern 2, anchoring. Anchoring is the tendency to let an initial piece of information disproportionately influence subsequent judgment. What does that mean? For those that may have a little bit too much, you've the anchoring bias that you have is the first piece of information you receive and you put more weight into that than any other additional information. So you're focusing on the first piece of information as the primary one. In financial terms, if you see a car originally listed at 45,000, now priced at 32,000, you feel like you're getting a deal regardless of whether 32,000 is actually a good price for that vehicle. Retailers are expert anchors. So are real estate agents, negotiators, and anyone who leads with high number to make the eventual price feel like a win. That's what you see in Black Friday in sales. It's they raise the price a few weeks before the sale, and then you look at the price when it's on sale. But if you look at the history, it's always been that price. So, training yourself to evaluate independently of initial anchors is a financial skill. It is also a critical thinking skill that will serve you in every negotiation, every vendor relationship, and every hiring decision. Pattern 3, loss aversion. The research is clear. Psychologically, losses hurt about twice as much as equivalent gains feel good. So you your brain is trained to feel the pain twice as much as feeling good for layman's terms. This asymmetry drives an enormous amount of financial suboptimal behavior. So, holding a loss investment too long because selling makes the loss real, avoiding necessary insurance because the premium feels like a loss, even though uninsured risk is far greater threat. The thinking discipline here is reframing. You need to start training yourself to evaluate decisions in terms of expected value and probability, not in terms of what you might lose versus gain. This is the cognitive muscle at the heart of sound risk management. Develop it in your financial life and watch it show up in how you evaluate every major decision. Pattern 4, social proof and identity spending. We spend money to signal who we are and to belong to the groups we aspire to. That's not irrational. Social belonging is a fundamental human need. But when spending is primarily identity driven rather than values driven, financial stress follows. The question isn't whether to spend on things that matter, it's whether you're spending consciously, aligned to your actual priorities, or reactively, driven by comparison and social pressure. The antidote is written values hierarchy. What are the top 3 things that matter most to your life and your legacy? Every major financial decision should be elevated against the hierarchy. This is what turns budgeting from a constraint into a strategy. Now, the financial thinking stack. I'm going to give you a practical framework and how I think about building financial literacy that transfers into life decision making. So, I call this the financial thinking stack. 4 layers, each one building on the last. So, we're going to start with layer 1, like a cake. Awareness. Know your numbers, income, expense, debt, net worth, not as a source or of shame or pride, but as a neutral data. You cannot navigate without a map. This is where tracking spending matters, not because frugality is a virtue, but because clarity is a prerequisite to strategy. I created an app that can help you with this. Uh, Currently, it is free, and all you have to do is register. If you want the AI that I've built specific skills on all my training as a former wealth manager at Merrill Lynch and BlackRock, yes, there is a fee, a subscription fee in there that you can use the AI program that I've created. But if you just want to track it, it is absolutely free. It's called Sensora. I really love it. It's a web app. Its description is, excuse me, the link is in the description. I'm very excited about it. Please sign up. It's completely encrypted. Your data belongs to you. You can actually download all your information if you decide you want to cancel at any time, and you will have spreadsheets of everything that you put in. So it would never be a waste of time. I highly encourage you to check it out. It is in beta, but because my main focus was the security and the AI platform of the app. But I highly recommend you check it out, put in your information, and begin working and build that prerequisite to the strategy. Layer two, framework. Choose a budgeting philosophy that fits your psychology, not just your spreadsheet. Zero based, envelope, pay yourself first, proportional allocation. If all those, everything I just said means like a different foreign language, check out the app. It will help you. I have literally have designed it to assist you with everything I just mentioned, and it breaks it down. These are different thinking architectures. The best one is the one you'll actually use. So there's no one way cookie cutter. It is the one you actually use will be the best one. Experiment, iterate, apply the same empiricism you'd use in any strategic problem. Layer three, decision rules. Create standing rules for common financial decisions so you're not relitigating the same questions repeatedly. I don't make purchases over $200 without 48 hours of consideration. I allocate 10% of every dollar to long term savings before anything else. Decision rules reduce cognitive load and protect you from the in the moment bias. So please, please, please follow that rule, decision rule. Have rules in place. Layer four, review cadence. Great financial decisions aren't made once, they're reviewed regularly. A monthly financial review, 20 minutes, same day, every month, is the one with the highest return of investment, ROI. Habits you can build. You can drift before it becomes crisis. You celebrate progress. You adjust without panic. You can set up goals. Like, for example, if I can save $1,000 within 60 days, I'm going to treat myself to a $200 meal at a fancy restaurant. Yes, it's going to be eating into a little bit, but you're rewarding yourself. You're giving that dopamine hit in your brain. You're gonna treat yourself to a little spa day if if you're into that. Whatever the case that's gonna like drive you to continue the course, because that's the whole point, consistency. Financial literacy is not a destination, it's a practice. And like any thinking practice, it compounds. Small improvements is how you think about money. Produce large improvements in how you live. So, here are three questions financial decision filter for you. Before you make any significant financial decisions, run it through these three questions. They take less than 2 minutes and will catch most of the cognitive traps we discussed today. One, is the decision aligned with my top three values? If you can't name your top three values in 30 seconds, that's your homework, because every financial decision you make is quietly answering this question for you, whether you're when you thought about it or not. Two, am I making this decision from clarity or from emotion? Urgency, excitement, fear, and social pressure are not decision making partners. They're signals, useful ones, but not drivers. If the answer is, I'm feeling pressure to decide now, that's a flag to pause. Three, what's the cost of being wrong? Not in a paralyzing way, but in a proportional way. A $12 lunch requires no analysis. A $12,000 vehicle purchase deserves serious deliberation. Cal- Calibrate your decision process to the actual stakes. Financial literacy isn't a niche skill for people who love spreadsheets. It's a decision making laboratory available to every person every day. The people who master it don't just build wealth, they build the thinking habits that create better outcomes in every high stakes domain of their lives. If this resonated with you, send it to someone you care about who's navigating financial stress right now. And if you want to go deeper on decision frameworks, head over to maaponte.substack.com. It's new content every week. Sign up, it is absolutely free. And if you want to take control of your finances now, there is an app in the description below, Sensora. Check it out. It is free to sign up. You just put in your information, your numbers, and AI will do the rest. If you have the subscription version, you will be surprised on what it will educate you on besides analyzing your personal circumstances. I have literally designed the skill set myself on all the years that I've been consulting and working in wealth management from JPMorgan to Merrill Lynch and BlackRock. So please, please, please check it out. And remember, think clearly, lead boldly, stay logical, and I'll see you guys in the next one.